I'm John Mallows. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this Thursday morning. Glad you are here. We're talking about debate number 3. It's the final debate, took place last night in Las Vegas. We'll go over it with our expert here in the studio today. You're welcome to call in and chime in. 436-ME-TV option 11. Charles Chuck McGill is our sponsor here on the program today. Attorney at law for more than a quarter century here in the Central Valley. Back in a moment. And welcome back to the program here on a Thursday morning. So glad you're here. It's Ask the Expert Day, and believe you me, the guest that we have today is an expert in the field. He's an expert in politics and so many other things. He's a historian. We'll get into all that during the course of the program. We're going to talk about last night's debate. But first of all, I want to do a programming note. And tomorrow, hey, we've got Lee Brand coming in for about the 1,000th time. I think he is running for mayor, right, against Henry Perea. So that's been a very contentious race there, the run for City Hall. Henry at some point will be in, I think, a couple of days before Election Day. So he'll be back as well. But your chance to throw out those very difficult questions for Lee Brand. He got a lot of calls the last time that he was here. The phones lit up kind of like a Christmas tree, and so he'll be back again on Friday. That's tomorrow. And then on Monday, we have a person from the local Democratic Party here in the state of California and somebody from the Republican side. They'll be sitting right here side by side going at it much like last night's debate. So that's what's coming up the next couple of days here on Connect with Me. As far as what you're watching us now live on Comcast Channel 375, that's right. Or if you have over-the-air broadcast with a digital antenna, then it is 13.1 or 43.6. Now, if you want to catch the replay, it's also on digital antenna. 2 o'clock later today at 13.6 U2, 8 o'clock tonight in prime time at 4.6 Biz TV. So, here's my suggestion. 8 o'clock tonight, you can watch this replay, and then you can have the second television off to the side watching the Dodger playoff game, which they take on the Cubs again tonight in game number 5 of the playoffs. So let's get right to last night's debate. It was debate number 3. It was the final debate. And last night I was up kind of late looking at some of the replays and what each candidate had to say. And I happened to catch Jimmy Kimmel too, and he said, it was kind of like watching, and I totally agree with this, it's like watching mom and dad for the last time in the same house having this blowout argument right before the divorce. They'll never see each other again. They'll never be on the same stage again. I thought that was a great quote by Jimmy Kimmel, the comedian, last night on ABC. But they tackled so many issues as Chris Wallace was the moderator of Fox News. They talked about immigration, the Supreme Court, the economy, the groping of women, and yes, those elusive emails. Here's just a slight recap of what we saw last night.
Secretary Clinton, Mr. Trump, welcome. I want to ask you here on the stage tonight, do you make the same commitment that you will absolutely, sir, that you will absolutely accept the result of this election?
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time. What I've seen is so bad. First of all, the media is so dishonest and so corrupt, and the pile-on is so amazing. The New York Times, they actually wrote an article about it that they don't even care. It's so dishonest, and they've poisoned the minds of the voters. But unfortunately for them, I think the voters are seeing through it. I think they're going to see through it. We'll find out on November 8th, but I think they're going to see through it.
But, sir,
Chris, she should never have been allowed to run for the presidency based on what she did with emails and so many other things.
But, sir, there is a tradition in this country. In fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner.
I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's horrifying. You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust Fund by making sure that we have sufficient. I'm just amazed that he seems to think that the Iraqi government and our allies and everybody else launched the attack on Mosul to help me in this election. But that's how Donald thinks, you know. He always is looking for some
Chris, we don't
conspiracy.
gain anything.
He has all these
Iran is taking over Iraq.
Secretary Clinton,
Iran is taking over Iraq. We don't gain
Secretary
anything.
Clinton,
We would have gained if they did it by surprise.
Wait. Secretary Clinton, it's an open discussion. Secretary,
we would have gained if they did it by
Secretary,
surprise.
please let Mr. Trump speak.
He's unfit, and he proves it every time
You
he
are the
talks.
one that's unfit.
Will Donald Trump admit and condemn that the Russians are doing this and make it clear that he will not have the help of Putin in this election, that he rejects Russian espionage against Americans, which he actually encouraged in the past?
Look, Putin, from everything I see, has no respect for this person.
Well, that's because he'd rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
It's pretty clear you won't admit that the Russians have engaged in cyber attacks against the United States of America, that you encouraged espionage against our people.
She has been outsmarted and outplayed worse than anybody I've ever seen in any government whatsoever.
You said your talk about grabbing women was just that, talk.
Those stories are all totally false. I have to say that. And I didn't even apologize to my wife, who's sitting right here, because I didn't do anything. I didn't know any of these women. I didn't see these women. These women, the woman on the plane, the woman, I think they want either fame or her campaign did it. And I think it's her campaign.
He held a number of big rallies where he said that he could not possibly have done those things to those women because they were not attractive enough for them to be assaulted.
I did not say that.
Well, that was the wrap-up last night. Live in our studio now is our expert from the political side, Victor Davis Hanson. He's a historian. He's written several books. He's a syndicated columnist. You can read his column in the Bee every Sunday, which I do. He is a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. He is a wonderful guy. He's been here before. He's a return guest. So, 436 Me TV, option 11. We'll delve into Victor's mind to find out what's going on as far as he's concerned with this election. It is unprecedented. I thought Mike Wallace of Fox News did a terrific job as a moderator last night. Maybe the best, but I was trying, you know, the things that were going through my mind during that debate, was that the real Donald Trump or was that Alec Baldwin? Was that the real Hillary Clinton or the one that plays on Saturday Night Live? It kind of reminded me of that. So let's hear from you after this word from Charles Chuck McGill. He is an attorney at law and has been in the Central Valley for more than a quarter century. Back in a moment.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime?
Is your professional reputation at risk?
Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished.
Hi, I'm Charles McGill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from McGill, Guzman, McGill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
And away we go.
Here's the place that makes you smile. Stick around and stay a while. We're the home of great TV. That's memorable. That's me.
Follow me, sir.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be our guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
All you have to do is watch me.
Are you kidding me? Follow me. That's memorable. That's me.
That's me.
Me TV.
And this is going to be a great show today. It's going to turn out to be a great day overall. 436 Me TV, option 11. If you want to call in, our friend Victor Davis Hanson is here. Good to see you. How are you, sir?
Pretty good. Very good.
All right. So we have a call waiting. I'm going to put the just hang on, call. I'll get to you in a moment. I want to ask you the first question. So, give me some advice, Victor, for people like me, voters like me. I am like totally undecided right now. I don't like a lot of things about Trump. I don't like a lot of things about Hillary. It seems like a draw. They're butting heads, but it's a draw. What should I do? I'm not going to vote for Gary Johnson.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Everybody's going to vote whether they call it voting or not. They'll either stay home, they'll vote for Trump, they'll vote for Hillary, they'll vote for. But that is an act in itself, and you can be translated in voting for either Hillary or Trump. If you're conservative and you don't vote for Trump, you're voting for Hillary. If you're liberal, you're Sanders supporter, you don't vote for Hillary. You would have usually done that, so you're voting for Trump.
So you're voting even if you're not voting?
You're voting even if you're not voting. So the question is, if you're liberal out there, your audience, I would suggest that you vote for Hillary because her agenda is far more liberal. You can say she's cynical, you can say she's corrupt, you can say that she's committed crimes, but if you like that liberal agenda, vote for her. You can say Trump is insincere, he's vulgar, he's crude, but if you're more conservative, then vote for him. Just take the two agendas side by side. They're posted on their website, and you can make the distinction.
So essentially what you're saying is forget the rhetoric.
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Immigration, if you want a closed border, vote for Trump. If you want amnesty, vote for Hillary. If you want more defense spending, I think Trump would be more likely to increase defense spending. Hillary, more entitlements on the social side. Abortion, whatever your view, there's a clear distinction on abortion. There's a clear distinction on Obamacare. So you can go down 8 or 9 issues and you can find a big difference. And so the question then is Hillary's criminality, and it's criminal what she's done, or is Trump's crudity and vulgarity, and he is vulgar and crude, does that nullify those decisions? And they either cancel each other out or they're irrelevant.
That's some good advice. All right, caller, you're on the air with Victor Davis Hanson. Go ahead.
My question to him is, I believe it's going to be the lowest turnout for either party. But for myself being a Democrat, I'm not even going to vote because they don't talk about any issues other than they're fighting each other. I mean, this is the worst campaign, debating. I mean, you should have just turned off the TV and that's it. But I know a lot of Democrats in the same situation that say, if this is all they're going to do, why is it that we're going to go vote? And you're going to get a lot of people and the lowest turnout that are not going to vote because they have not heard anything about what they're going to do for the country. That's my whole question. That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, you may be right about that until this last debate, the issues didn't even come up. It was back and forth about their prior crudity or criminality, but there is a difference. And I suggest you go to the Trump or the Clinton website, and whether you vote or not will depend on whether people down ballot also get elected or not. So if you're a Democrat, you're a conservative Democrat, and you don't like the way the party's going, I'd vote for Trump, and if you're a liberal Democrat, I'd vote for Hillary, because there is a difference. In the next 4 years, President Hillary will take the country, whether it's the Supreme Court or whether it's matters about Obamacare or defense spending or you name it, the debt, in a very different way than will President Trump. And so I think you could still make that decision based on the information that's out there without getting out of their mouth. But I agree with you that the debates until the last one were not helpful to elucidate that.
Let me ask you, Victor, what under a President Hillary administration, give me a couple of definitive answers on maybe what the Supreme Court will look like, what kind of changes in Obamacare. Will we get further in debt? If so, by how much? I mean, isn't the debt like $20 trillion or something like that now?
Take the debt. It went from $9 trillion to $20 trillion, and only because of sequestration that was imposed on Obama did the annual deficit go from $1 trillion to about $500 billion. $500 billion is unsustainable. So when she says I'm not going to increase the debt, if that were true, and people say neither one of their budgets will do that is balance the budget, that's not enough. Because $20 trillion cannot be served as soon as interest rates go up to 4 or 5% without cutting a third of the budget. So no one should be envisioning new programs. It should be trying to reduce the debt. And given Obama's agenda and given her implicit approval of it, I would suspect that she approved what went on. She was Secretary of State. She didn't object to Obamacare, which was very costly. She didn't object to the increase in social spending. She didn't object to any of these things. So if you like the last 8 years where we're headed, I think a Clinton administration would double down on all of those issues.
Will she change anything with Obamacare? Because we are seeing a rise in terms of premiums. People are not able to afford the monthly premiums in many cases. In so many cases, especially here in the Central Valley, you know this is maybe better than I do, there are many doctors that are just not accepting the Affordable Care Act.
Mm-hmm.
And so will she make any kind of
I don't
changes
think
there,
so.
or will it get worse?
I think the market is going to adjudicate. I had an accident not too long ago, so I've been to specialists all up and down the valley, and they tell me that even the people who are covered under Obamacare, when it comes time, did you pay your premium on time? Do you understand what a deductible is? Do you pay your copay? Then the participation rate in those three areas is about half. So I saw an ophthalmologist not long ago, and he said to me, I can only give you 3 or 4 minutes because I've had to increase 20 patients per day to make up for the lack of participation, payment by other people.
And that's Obamacare?
Yes, and I had two plans from my retirement and where I work, and I went the other day to a doctor and they said, I'm sorry, Mr. Hanson, but you're going to have to pay a huge deductible. The one plan that you have that has no deductible, we won't use. So we only were going to pick the one that has a deductible. I said, well, I shouldn't even have to. I should just turn it down. They said, yes, you shouldn't, because they're canceling out and charging you more. You're a Cadillac person was the term that she used. You can't have Cadillac plans. So if you went out and had 2 insurance plans, you got to get rid of one because they won't overlap anymore. They come at the expense of the other one so that they can take those resources. Then you're still paying the premium, and they can use them for people who don't have a health care plan. So it's a socialist plan, that's fine, but I don't think it worked any better than going to the emergency room or going to a federal health clinic or going to a public interest health clinic, and they're all over the San Joaquin Valley, than taking people and giving them a plan and then not instructing them on the responsibilities of paying the deductible, paying the copay, and paying the premium every month.
Yeah. How will it change under her leadership for the Supreme Court?
I don't think it will. Oh, the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
I think if you like Justice Sotomayor, you like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, then you would want another person along those lines. If you don't, you wanted somebody like Scalia or Alito, then you would vote for Trump. She said last night that she envisions basically a living constitution that has to serve the needs, she said, of the LGBT community. That's quoting her verbatim. So she doesn't have an idea that the Constitution is written in a particular way and then people try to follow that through time and space. Her idea is that it's a vague, all men are created equal, just to take one phrase, and I will interpret that how it applies to 2016. So you make law that you feel is more progressive, more egalitarian through the Supreme Court.
So that's her view. Under Donald Trump, will Obamacare change? Because, you know, no matter who gets in, they still need the approval of Congress. If Hillary wants to appoint you as a Supreme Court justice, it still has to be approved by Congress. It has to go through the congressional process.
Yeah. Well, I think if he were to be president, and I'm getting not from me, but from his website and what his advisors have said, they would take Obamacare and they would knock down the state regulations that you can't buy, let's say in California, a Blue Shield plan from Georgia. They would make them all together, and then they would encourage competition. So it would be nationwide, not statewide. Yes, if I'm a 63-year-old male and I don't want to buy transgendered transgendered surgery coverage, or I don't want to have birth control in my particular plan, then I go on the market and I look along and I say, there's one that'll fit my needs, I'll buy it for a particular price. But we're not going to have one size fits all for everybody, and that's a way of subsidizing for other people that have those problems. I don't need a plan that says if I'm addicted to cocaine, the government's going to pay for my rehabilitation. And I don't believe that if somebody else is addicted to cocaine and he goes into rehab, I should have to pay under a private insurance plan for that. Obamacare says you do. And so I don't think that I should
So
have to pay to reward that type of behavior.
We shouldn't have to pay for services we're not using, is what you're saying.
Within a general framework.
Yeah.
General framework. And so we had a system where everybody got the plan they wanted. The deductible was adjudicated according to your age and health status. But under this system, we were forced to have a one-size-fits-all plan. It doesn't fit very many people. But it doesn't matter what you or I say, or your callers, or whatever one's politics. It's the market. And the insurers were given huge subsidies. They supported it. The insurance companies wanted it. Big pharmacies wanted it, and now all of a sudden they're saying, I want out.
All right, Victor Davis Hanson is here. He is a historian, a syndicated columnist around the nation, a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. 436-MeTV option 11. We're talking about last night's debate. Call in and weigh in if you want. Today's program sponsored by Charles Chuck McGill. He's an attorney at law.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime?
Is your professional reputation at risk?
Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished.
Hi, I'm Charles McGill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from McGill, Guzman, McGill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
And away we go.
Here's the place that makes you smile. Stick around and stay a while. We're the home of great TV that's memorable. That's me.
Follow me, sir.
Call them classics, call them the best. Call them favorites, be our guest. Every day there's more to come. Watch and see, there's only one. Me TV.
All you have to do is watch me.
Are you kidding me?
That's memorable, that's me.
That's me.
Me TV.
Sir, that you will absolutely accept the result of this election.
I will look at it at the time. I'm not looking at anything now. I'll look at it at the time. What I've seen is so bad. First of all, the media is so dishonest and so corrupt, and the pile-on is so amazing. The New York Times actually wrote an article about it that they don't even care. It's so dishonest, and they've poisoned the minds of the voters. But unfortunately for them, I think the voters are seeing through it. I think they're going to see through it. We'll find out on November 8th, but I think they're going to see through it. She shouldn't be allowed to run. She's guilty of a very, very serious crime. She should not be allowed to run. And just in that respect, I say it's rigged. Because she should never have been allowed to run for the presidency based on what she did with emails and so many other things.
But, sir,
I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's horrifying. You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. The FBI conducted a year-long investigation into my emails. They concluded there was no case. He said the FBI was rigged. He lost the Iowa caucus. He lost the Wisconsin primary. He said the Republican primary was rigged against him. Then Trump University gets sued for fraud and racketeering. He claims the court system and the federal judge is rigged against him. There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged against him.
Should have gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks. And it's funny, but it's also really troubling.
Okay.
You know, that is not the way our democracy works. We've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. And that is what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage during a general election.
So is the election rigged, as Trump claims, and how will he contest the results? We do have a caller. I'm going to ask you to wait for a moment here because I want to ask Victor a couple of questions. Number one, is the election rigged, and how do we know if it is, if Trump is telling the truth? And if he actually does as he claimed he would last night, he's going to wait and see. If he contests the results, how does one do that? As a candidate, how do you go out and contest the final results of a national election?
Well, he didn't say he was going to contest it. He was asked if he would agree to the decision. It's irrelevant.
Could he contest it if he wanted to?
I don't think he could. He's saying basically they're going to say, are you going to be a good loser and say I congratulations, Mrs. Clinton, you won the. He's
Yeah.
not going to do that if he feels that it was rigged. I think it's kind of a mountain out of a molehill because he's got a point that the media massaged the election. We know that from the WikiLeaks when journalists write in and ask Hillary's campaign to approve their stories before they publish them. Or we have testimony that people were hired by the DNC to go in and disrupt rallies. Okay, that happens in politics. It's massage, it's corrupted. As far as rigging go, we've had it. That was absolutely untrue what Hillary Clinton said. We had 200 plus years of scandal-free election. The election of 1876 by Rutherford B. Hayes, that was completely rigged. It was completely rigged. And you can argue that Hughes and Wilson in 1916, there was a real controversy.
Well, and in my time and your time, what about the Kennedy election?
1960 it was rigged that Kennedy probably lost Illinois and would not have been president had it not been for the Chicago
mob
counts.
Yeah.
And then finally in 2000, I remember Hillary herself in 2002 said that Bush was not elected, that he was selected. And that was what the DNC said all the way up until 2004. I remember in 2004 watching John Kerry about a week after the election say that the Ohio results were rigged, and if he had not been rigged, he would have won. People said in Florida, Jeb Bush is the governor, George Bush, and then Al Gore conceded, then he withdrew his concession, and then they went to the Supreme Court. So it's nothing new. I think the media is sort of frenzied about it, but these charges are dime a dozen.
And even more recently, hang on, caller, get to you in a second here. Even more recently, when Obama was elected and then reelected, there were charges or accusations of voter fraud. I think in Philadelphia, Chicago,
there was 31,000 to 3, and
Yeah.
the statistical error probability of somebody pushing the wrong button was about 10 times the actual number who voted for Mitt Romney and then earlier John McCain. So I don't think we get too excited about it. The fact is Trump couldn't do anything if he wanted to. He's
Right.
If the majority of polls are right, he'll probably lose and he'll probably get angry and he won't concede in a way that and who cares?
Yeah.
It's a big deal. And it's no big deal.
But you're saying that the way that it could be rigged is the massaging of the media.
That's a different question. I wouldn't use the word rigged that he did.
Okay.
If I were to say that the President of the United States did not allow the Department of Justice and the FBI to operate independently, otherwise they would have issued an indictment against Hillary Clinton, which I think all the FBI subordinates agree would have happened, or if a special prosecutor had have looked at pay for play and saying that contractors were not given access to the Secretary of State unless they paid money to the Clinton administration, or the media was in cahoots with Hillary Clinton's campaign, that's true, or that the DNC was organizing disruptions. That's all true, but it's not under the definition of rigging.
Right.
It's
but massaging is a completely
warping,
different issue.
yes, massaging, subverting, but not quite rigging in an official capacity.
Yeah, and I even saw this just recently in the last day or so, how much network time given to the Trump scandals versus the Hillary scandals. It's by more than 2 to 1. But go ahead, caller, you're on the air.
Yeah, I think that the media is totally biased. We've never had such thug gangsters running this country, and I thought it was very legitimate about what he said about Haiti. Hillary had a chance to give money back that she took from countries that, are killing women and they're killing gays. I mean, so what if you grope some women, you're a young man, you have rock star status, women are coming at you. Women are coming at you from everywhere trying to bag you. Okay? He's just got to deal with it.
Yeah, I don't
Hillary can't say that I would want to jump on Hillary. But I'm just really, I'm losing friends over this election because if you speak up for one, they bash you for it, and we just can't win.
Yeah, I think
I'm glad your guest is on today.
Yeah, well, I think your point is something that's the mystery of the election because Trump is down in all of the traditional polls, NBC, Wall Street Journal, Gallup, Ipsos. However, in this other methodology of daily tracking where you get a finite subset of the population and you stick with them through the whole campaign, and that would be the LA Times USC poll, or the Investors Business Daily poll, or the Rasmussen, which has entirely different methodology. He's tied or up, and people are trying to explain that phenomenon. The only thing I can think of, and one you have to say over the phone, I am voting for Donald Trump, and people are reluctant for the reasons that you articulated, that you get kind of bashed. The other one, you just open your laptop every morning and you press a button, Hillary or Trump, and Trump does much better in there. So we'll find out whether this is conspiracy theory or that there was a shadow Trump support that was not registered on traditional polls.
And I do want to play another soundbite with Donald Trump. It's called Election Rigged, as long as we're staying on this topic, just so you can hear one more time what Donald Trump said about this last night. It's called Election Rigged. We got that one okay. It's all queued up, ready to go. Let's play.
There is a tradition in this country. In fact, one of the prides of this country is the peaceful transition of power, and that no matter how hard fought a campaign is, that at the end of the campaign, that the loser concedes to the winner, not saying that you're necessarily going to be the loser or the winner, but that the loser concedes to the winner and that the country comes together in part for the good of the country. Are you saying you're not prepared now to commit to that principle?
What I'm saying is that I will tell you at the time. I'll keep you in suspense.
Well,
okay?
Chris, let me respond to that because that's horrifying. You know, every time Donald thinks things are not going in his direction, he claims whatever it is rigged against him. The FBI conducted a year-long investigation into my emails. They concluded there was no case. He said the FBI was rigged. He lost the Iowa caucus. He lost the Wisconsin primary. He said the Republican primary was rigged against him. Then Trump University gets sued for fraud and racketeering. He claims the court system and the federal judge is rigged against him. There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged against him.
Should have gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks. And it's funny, but it's also really troubling.
Okay.
You know, that is not the way our democracy works. We've been around for 240 years. We've had free and fair elections. We've accepted the outcomes when we may not have liked them. And that is what must be expected of anyone standing on a debate stage during a general election. You know, President Obama said the other day, when you're whining before the game is even finished, it just shows you're not up to doing the job. And let's be clear about what he is saying and what that means. He is denigrating, he's talking down our democracy. And I, for one, am appalled that somebody who is the nominee of one of our two major parties would take that kind of position.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime?
Is your professional reputation at risk?
Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished.
Hi, I'm Charles McGill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from McGill, Guzman, McGill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
When you like Ventura TV Appliance on Facebook, it's nice. But when you love the Whirlpool appliances we deliver, it's even better. Our website is cool, and it's a good place to start, but you really should touch the merchandise before you buy. Touch the new Whirlpool Ice Collection. It offers a modern style made to create an inspiring kitchen experience. Save big on this Whirlpool Black Ice or White Ice kitchen. Come in to Ventura TV Appliance and touch the merchandise today.
The Russian government has engaged in espionage against Americans. They have hacked American websites, American accounts of private people, of institutions. Then they have given that information to WikiLeaks for the purpose of putting it on the internet. This has come from the highest levels of the Russian government, clearly from Putin himself, in an effort, as 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, to influence our election. So I actually think the most important question of this evening, Chris, is finally, will Donald Trump admit and condemn that the Russians are doing this and make it clear that he will not have the help of Putin in this election, that he rejects Russian espionage against Americans, which he actually encouraged in the past.
I don't know Putin. He said nice things about me. If we got along well, that would be good. If Russia and the United States got along well and went after ISIS, that would be good. He has no respect for her. He has no respect for our president. And I'll tell you what, we're in very serious trouble because we have a country with tremendous numbers of nuclear warheads, 1,800, by the way, where they expanded and we didn't. 1,800 nuclear warheads, and she's playing chicken. Look, Putin, from everything I see, has no respect for this person.
Well, that's because he'd rather have a puppet as president of the United States.
No puppet.
And it's pretty clear.
You're the puppet.
It's pretty clear you won't admit that the Russians have engaged in cyber attacks against the United States of America. These espionage attacks, these cyber attacks, come from the highest levels of the Kremlin, and they are designed to influence our election. I find that deeply disturbing, and I think it's time.
She has no idea whether it's Russia, China, or anybody else.
I am not quoting
she has
myself.
No idea.
I am quoting
Hillary, you have no idea.
17 do you doubt 17
our
military
country has
and
no
civilian
idea.
agencies? Well,
yeah,
he'd rather believe Vladimir Putin than the military and civilian intelligence professionals who are sworn to protect us. I find that just absolutely
She doesn't like Putin because Putin has outsmarted her at every step of the way. Excuse me. Putin has outsmarted her in Syria. He's outsmarted her every step of the way.
Okay, back here with Victor Davis Hanson. Is Hillary right about the intelligence agencies that Russia, in fact, did hack those emails?
Well, they didn't hack them themselves, but they probably gave a contract out for people who were independent, like Guccifer 1.0 and 2.0.
Right.
So
maybe
then,
in different countries.
Yes, in different countries. So I think there's a 75% likelihood that somebody was paid by the Russian government. But where she was disingenuous is that the whole idea of reset and pushing a plastic button, and Obama under an open mic saying after the election of 2012 is over, President Medvedev, we're going to tell Vladimir we're going to be a lot more flexible. So that policy that empowered Putin came from her tenure as Secretary of State.
Let me ask you something, though. Chris Wallace, who I did, and caller, hang on a moment. Chris Wallace, who I think I've said this before, the last couple of minutes, he did a terrific job. She never answered his question. So I think, if I recall correctly, and I watched the debate now a couple of times on the replay last night, do we not have a right to know the content of those emails, whether they were hacked or not? She never answered that question, to my knowledge.
No, she didn't, because she doesn't want to answer it. If the emails reveal the Trump revelations of his campaign or something like that, she would be all for it. And look, you either have to be consistent. You either have to say it was wrong for somebody to leak Donald Trump's private IRS or a private hot mic tape at Access Hollywood, which is, a private conversation. And that's out now in the public domain, and we have a right to listen to it. We have a right to look over his 1 year of his tax returns, even though it was illegally leaked. Or we have a right to look at these WikiLeaks and Podestas and things, or we don't. But what she's saying to us is, I don't like the method in which embarrassing things about me were leaked, but I do like the method which leaked things about Trump. And that's inconsistent. And Trump has to say, you know what? If I'm going to read WikiLeaks, then somebody got to my tax return and leaked it illegally. That's the way it goes. Mm-hmm. But she's especially not consistent.
Putin benefits if Trump gets in or Hillary gets in?
Oh, I think in the long term he benefits if as Hillary continues. If she were to continue the Obama administration, look what he's done already. Because he's gobbled up Crimea, eastern Ukraine, he's eyeing, and he looks at Obama and he thinks this administration, of which she was the architect of the foreign policy, is weak. They gave me reset. Bush had punished Putin during the Alsatian crisis. He had issued sanctions against Putin. He had put a missile defense system in Poland and the Czech Republic. Obama came in and said, this tension is the fault of George Bush. He polarized Putin. Therefore, we're going to have a plastic reset button in Geneva. We're going to cancel the anti-ballistic missile program, and we have a new ambassador, Mike McFaul, a colleague of mine at Hoover. The result of it was Putin said, I can't believe it. Bush, right? He punished me because I was aggressive. Now that they're resetting Bush, I can do whatever I want. And now all of a sudden he's gobbled up these republics, and Hillary says, I'm going to be tough on him. But you got to distinguish between what she did and what Trump says. One is the subjunctive mood, one is past fact.
I am no foreign policy expert, to say the least, but even I know that Russia annexed Crimea. They took over Ukraine. Donald Trump didn't seem to know that.
Mm-hmm. Well,
do you think he's weak on foreign policy?
Well, I think he's weak like all private citizens without political experience.
Like I said, I'm no expert at all.
The question is, if he were to be elected and the people who are around him versus the people who are now around Barack Obama and who will be there again under Hillary, who are going to be more credible to Putin as deterring him from going in, let's say, to Estonia. If you really believe, if Putin goes in tomorrow morning into Estonia and Barack Obama says, that's a red line, and I'm giving you a deadline to get out, and that's a step over line. Those are his terms, not mine. Do you really believe he's going to take that seriously?
Probably not, but so you're saying that the people around him, the cabinet people, the military people, will educate Donald Trump if he's elected?
Yeah, I think they will, and they educate. Barack Obama had only been a senator for 2.5 years, and they educated him from the left-wing point of view. So I think he'll probably go into the Baltic states. He may go in before the new president takes office, and I think Obama will tell him to get out. I think he'll give him a deadline. I think he'll say there's a red line in Lithuania if you don't go, and nothing will happen. And then that'll be very dangerous.
It'll just be a threat then. It'll just be a threat.
Well, it's the 5 deadlines to Iran to stop proliferation. It's the red line to Syria. It's a step-over line that he issued in the Ukraine to Putin.
Okay. Caller, go ahead. Quickly, short on time here.
Yes, I was wanting Dr. Hanson to clarify the statement that Hillary Clinton's actions were criminal. And is it his belief that she has actually been convicted of any crimes?
Well, criminal is an adjective meaning that you engage in things against the law. So we don't really know to what degree that will be found in the future. But we do know that the director of the FBI listed areas in which she did not tell the truth about her confidential emails and the violations of national security. Then he made a decision that said, even though she did not tell the truth, and even though these were violations of the law, I'm not recommending that she be prosecuted in a way that he did not do for the current General Cartwright or General Petraeus. So, yes, I think she did engage, and the FBI director agreed. He just didn't think that politically you want to indict one of the 2 candidates for the President of the United States. And I think if you had a special prosecutor, you cannot have a situation in which the Secretary of State says, I will meet Foreign Leader A, B, and C based on their contributions to the Clinton Foundation. I will adjudicate who gets a contract to help the dying in Haiti based on their contributions to the Clinton Foundation. People have been indicted and convicted for far less. We jailed a filmmaker, Nakula, because he made a video that we said caused a riot in Benghazi and led to the deaths, even though we've never done that for any minor parole violation.
Is he still jailed now?
No, he got out. He was out in jail for 1 year. And then after he got out of jail, we were told that that was not the cause of video. And we were told by whom? Hillary Clinton. Once we read her emails, we were told that she even told her own daughter it was an Al-Qaeda operation. Yet a man stayed in jail for 1 year because of a false allegation.
A video.
A video.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think she's engaged in a lot of criminal activity. Do I think she will be prosecuted for it and convicted? Not under this administration.
No, got to go to break. But Victor Davis Hanson is our guest. I'm glad he's here. Perfect timing, too. He's a historian. He has written many books, and I say this over and over again. He's a syndicated columnist. You can read it in the Fresno Bee every Sunday. I do. He's a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University, and I'm so glad he's here to talk about last night's debate. 436-ME-TV, option 11. Another phone line is open here. And let's see, Charles Chuck McGill is our sponsor today. Back in a moment.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime?
Is your professional reputation at risk?
Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished.
Hi, I'm Charles McGill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from McGill, Guzman, McGill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
Tune in to Heartland for the best in true country music. Relive vintage specials, one-of-a-kind concerts, and country music's earliest videos. Heartland is the heart of country, the only place where you can find country music, country stars, and country lifestyles 24/7. Heartland, the heart of country.
Now on channel 13.2.
Well, first of all, she wants to give amnesty, which is a disaster and very unfair to all of the people that are waiting online for many, many years. We need strong borders. In the audience tonight, we have 4 mothers of, I mean, these are unbelievable people that I've gotten to know over a period of years whose children have been killed, brutally killed by people that came into the country illegally. We're going to get them out. We're going to secure the border. And once the border is secured, at a later date, we'll make a determination as to the rest. But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
He said as recently as a few weeks ago in Phoenix that every undocumented person would be subject to deportation. Now, here's what that means. It means you would have to have a massive law enforcement presence, where law enforcement officers would be going school to school, home to home, business to business, rounding up people who are undocumented. And we would then have to put them on trains, on buses to get them out of our country. When it comes to the wall that Donald talks about building, he went to Mexico, he had a meeting with the Mexican president, didn't even raise it, he choked, and then got into a Twitter war because the Mexican president said, we're not paying for that wall. So I think we are both a nation of immigrants and we are a nation of laws, and that we can act accordingly. And that's why I'm introducing comprehensive immigration reform within the first 100 days with a path to citizenship.
All right, I'm going to ask the caller to hang on a moment because we got Victor Davis Hanson here, and I'm so glad you're here, Victor. Thank you again for coming in. I know your schedule is very busy, but I want to ask you about this immigration thing because I read something online last night, and I don't remember this because it was in 2006, I believe, but didn't Hillary Clinton support building a partial wall in 2006? I don't know if you recall.
She not only agreed with that, and she admitted that in the debate, but in the 90s, both she and her husband supported strict enforcement of law with deportation, and she said illegal immigration was intolerable. What happened in the intervening period was the population grew from somewhere between 11 and 20 million who had children, and then they became voters over that 25-year period. So now it's a political issue. And I think everybody understands that you don't have a country if you don't have immigration law and you don't have a border. The question is what to do with the people here. If you were to call out people who have committed serious misdemeanors or felonies, people who have no work history, people who have just arrived on the scent of amnesty, it would probably be 10 to 20%. That would leave you with a pool of somewhere between 10 and 12 million people who have been here, they're working, and they have not committed a crime. And then you could have some type of process that will allow them to pay a fine, take a test, learn English, and apply for a resident green card. And then what they did after that is that's their own choice.
But she did support a partial wall in 2006.
Yes, she did. She admitted that she did.
Yeah, she admitted, but she didn't. It didn't really come out like she supported because we keep building a wall.
Yeah.
We attribute that to Trump.
Yes.
But we forget, like I did, that she also
the main
supported
thing that was
a wall.
Yes, and she supports 300 entities, 300 state, local cities that are sanctuary cities or sanctuary states. And that means that a particular locale has said federal law does not apply to us. That's what we went to almost to war in 1826 with Andrew Jackson. That's why we did go to war in the Civil War. Certain states said we are not going to follow federal law. So can you imagine if Fresno said, if the right wing took over Fresno and said, we are a sanctuary city and gun registration on the federal level doesn't apply to us. And by the way, either does the EPA's Endangered Species Act. We reject it. Inside Fresno County, there's no, you can't do that. The country would unravel. So that's where we are in immigration. You have 300 entities that say we're immune from federal oversight.
Okay, caller, you've been very patient. Thank you. Go ahead. You're on with Victor.
Yeah, thank you, John, and I appreciate your guests today. My comment has to do with not only the presidential election, but also our state election. The propositions that are on the ballot, numerous propositions, and our senatorial election as well. We have two Democrats that are vying for the office of U.S. Senator, and I believe that was done because of a previous proposition that allowed only the top two vote getters to proceed to the final election. So I was wondering if Dr. Hanson could give some of his insights into some of our state election choices that we have coming November. And I'll take my comment off the air. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. We don't have time to go through all the propositions, but they pretty much reflect, and almost in every case, a left-right, conservative-liberal dichotomy. I mean, there's not one proposition that's sort of in the middle, such as high-speed rail or something like that. And as far as the Senate and the open primaries, I think that was a mistake because the left thought that because California is now a blue state, by getting rid of closed primaries, that they would always have two Democratic candidates. So even if they lost, the loss would be not that bad compared to a conservative. So I was opposed to that. But if you go through the If you go through the primary ballots, you can tell the difference between a liberal and a conservative view.
Yeah. Quickly, I want to get to the call, but just okay, there are two measures on there. There are 17 propositions,
Yes.
two measures that talk about the passage of marijuana for recreational use here in
Yes.
California. Will that pass?
I think it probably will.
Okay, and there's one on plastic bags, to ban the plastic bags.
Yeah.
Will that'll pass?
I don't know about that. I work at Stanford and I live in Fresno County, rural Selma, so I go between two jurisdictions, and the people that I talk to in both don't like that law. The people where I shop in Palo Alto, you have to pay for a bag if you want to take your thing. Stop at Casa de Fruta on the way home, and if you want fruit, you've got to pay for even a paper bag, and you can't get a plastic. And the people who administer that law and are subject to its enforcement don't like it. And they suggest that the plastic bags could be with corn syrup and components and be biodegradable, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But I don't think that will pass.
Well, my voter information guide is more than 200, like yours, more than
Yes.
200 pages long. Okay, the initiative, okay, all these bonds for school bonds, and there's one in Central Unified, there's one in Fresno. Should we vote for or against these? What are they doing with all that money?
I'm going to vote against them because we're $75 billion of unfunded liabilities and bonds right now. And then we have the highest income, sales, and gasoline taxes. And our schools are rated 46 on 8th grade test scores. Our roads and infrastructure is 49th by Forbes. And we have the highest number of people below the poverty line and on public assistance of any state. So I say to myself, highest taxes in all these categories, worst roads, worst schools, poorest number of people.
Where's the money going?
So where's the money going? It's being recycled into programs that are not encouraging economic growth.
Okay, caller, short on time, but glad you called. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to call because the reason I'm confused with Trump and Hillary Clinton is because Hillary Clinton is giving the opportunity to all these illegal aliens benefits, food stamps, what have you not, and we're from here, we work hard, they charge us for our insurance, they get it free. Another thing, that's the confusion between society right now. And Trump's promising to get rid of that problem that's major in ours. Look at their cars, their clothes, their boots, their cell phones, the houses, and they get welfare, they get food stamps, and they're working in another name, and then they don't put income tax, and then we get nailed with that. They're out here working in packing houses and factories that we know for a fact, people that we know using other Social Securities that fall on other people. They get in trouble and they get away scot-clean. That's a major, major problem here.
I agree with you. I agree with you entirely. The consequences of illegal immigration do not fall on the wealthy that support it to the extent that they get inexpensive labor. But I live in a primarily poor town of Selma, and people who are U.S. citizens and are playing by the rules, whether it's their health care system or public assistance or job opportunities, they are affected. I have so many friends that have been in auto accidents where the driver fled the scene of the accident, no registration, no insurance, no driver's license. They're stuck with the consequences. They try to go to the emergency room. They can't get in because people here on law legally. And the support for illegal immigration comes from illegal immigrants themselves and the very wealthy, but not from the lower and middle classes that are directly affected by it in schools, legal system, law enforcement.
All right. I need to ask our director something while I'm on here. A nasty woman. Donald Trump called Hillary a nasty woman last night. But, Carrie, how long is that? Do you know the time on that? I don't know if we have time to run it, because we're almost out of time here. It's 1 minute? Okay, let's roll it. Let's play it. Yeah, go ahead.
Same question, because at this point, Social Security and Medicare are going to run out. The trust funds are going to run out of money. Will you, as president, will you consider a grand bargain, a deal that includes both tax increases and benefit cuts to try to save both programs?
Well, Chris, I am on record as saying that we need to put more money into the Social Security Trust Fund. That's part of my commitment to raise taxes on the wealthy. My Social Security payroll contribution will go up, as will Donald's, assuming he can't figure out how to get out of it. But what we want to do is to replenish the Social Security Trust Fund by making sure that we have sufficient resources. And that will come from either raising the cap and or finding other ways to get more money into it. I will not cut benefits. I want to enhance benefits for low-income workers and for women who have been disadvantaged by the current Social Security system. But what Donald is proposing with these massive tax cuts will result in a $20 trillion additional national debt. That will have dire...
Just rhetoric, has nothing to do with the issues. Like you say, you said at the top of the show, go to the websites, find out what issue, where they stand on all the issues, and vote accordingly.
It depends on if you're worried about the personal liabilities. If you like your crudity uncooked, vote for Donald because he said you're a nasty woman. If you like it sautéed and baked, vote for Hillary because she just accused him in a parenthetical of being a criminal by not wanting to pay taxes, payroll taxes, which everybody must pay. So she does it very elegantly and he does it very crudely, but it's the same type level of invective.
Right. Victor, always good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're still on camera, so we'll stay right here. But come back again soon.
I will.
I really appreciate your time. All right. Victor Davis Hanson, he's a historian. Check out his syndicated column, Fresno Bee, every Sunday. And he's also a senior fellow at the Hoover Institution, Stanford University. He's also a Selma resident right here in the Central Valley. See you tomorrow with Lee Brand. He's running for mayor. Can't wait for that one. Have a great day and see you back here.
Have you or a loved one recently been arrested for a serious crime?
Is your professional reputation at risk?
Aggressive representation from a qualified defense attorney can help you avoid conviction and keep your reputation untarnished.
Hi, I'm Charles McGill, and I'll fight for your rights. With extensive experience in successfully defending against a wide range of criminal offenses and high-profile cases, you can rest assured that you'll get the fair trial you deserve from McGill, Guzman McGill. Call us at 559-255-3425 or visit us online at toplawyersfresno.com.
If you have a need to promote your business or event, please consider MeTV Fresno for your next campaign. MeTV reaches over 100,000 of your potential customers in the Fresno area every single week. Plus, you can rest assured that your commercial is running in the greatest family-friendly programs of all time. MeTV Fresno delivers a strong, loyal audience ready to buy, and your campaign will cost a fraction of what you're paying for your